Where's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police and the ambulance immediately. My wife and child have been shot badly.
On June 7th, 2021, agents with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division responded to a late-night 911 call saying that 2 people were dead at a residence in Islandton, South Carolina. Those 2 people were soon to be identified as Margaret Maggie Murdaugh, who was age 52 at the time, and her son Paul Murdaugh, who was 22. They were found dead on the family's 1,770-acre property, known to be called the Moselle, the main home of the Murdaughs. Alex Murdaugh called 911 to report that his wife and one of their 2 sons had been shot to death. Alex had told the authorities that he discovered their bodies when he returned to the family's isolated home. In audio of his call to 911, a distraught Alex said that he had arrived home and found their bodies on the ground.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennels.
At the time of the shooting, Alex Murdaugh reportedly was visiting his dying father, former South Carolina 14th Circuit Solicitor Randolph Murdaugh III. Officers with the Colton County Sheriff's Office wrote in reports that they had discovered several shell casings, the casings later to be determined to be from 2 different guns. Paul Murdaugh was reportedly killed by a pair of shotgun blasts, one to the chest and another which struck his arm and head. Maggie had been shot multiple times with an assault rifle. Their gunshot wounds were believed to be consistent with execution-style killings. According to several sources, Paul's body was found partially inside one of the kennels, while his mother's was several feet away, leading investigators to believe she ran from her killer before being gunned down. At least 2 of her gunshot wounds were believed to have been inflicted while she was on the ground. The fatal shooting rocked the state's Lowcountry region, where the family had established its legal dynasty. The killings began to be known as the Murdaugh murders.
52-year-old Maggie Murdaugh and her 22-year-old son Paul were found outside their home, both shot multiple times, according to the coroner. They were discovered by husband and father Alex Murdaugh on their rural property 10 days ago. Alex called 911, according to police, but the call has not been made public. The murder sending shockwaves through the local community, where generations of the Murdaugh family have worked as well-known lawyers and prosecutors, tied to countless legal cases in the South Carolina Lowcountry.
A tragic situation. The Murdaugh family is well known.
2 weapons were used, a shotgun and an assault rifle. Now, I find it very difficult to believe that unless you're a Hollywood actor pretending you're carrying 2 long guns, that one person did this. I think this may very well be related to the death of Mallory Beach. There was no sex assault, no rape, no robbery, no burglary. So what was the motivation other than anger or revenge?
So, who would want to murder the Murdaugh family, and why? Well, at the time of his death, Paul Murdaugh, the son who was killed, had made plenty of enemies, and at the time was out on bail after being charged in 2019 with drunkenly crashing a boat in an accident that killed one of his passengers, 19-year-old Mallory Beach.
Bro, you fucking smiling like it's fucking funny. My fucking girlfriend's gone, bro. You think it's fucking funny?
Sit down.
Hope he's right fucking hell.
In the Lowcountry, crews searching the waters off of Beaufort County for a missing teenager say they aren't giving up hope and are still giving it 100%. 19-year-old Mallory Beach hasn't been seen since a boat she and 5 friends were riding in hit a piling in Archers Creek on Sunday morning. A helicopter.
On February 23, 2019, Mallory and her boyfriend, Anthony Cook, planned to spend Saturday night at a house party and oyster roast on Pocky Island with their friends, Anthony's cousin, Connor Cook, and Connor's girlfriend, Molly Altman. They decided to meet first at Murdaugh Island, a river property owned by the family of their friend Paul Murdaugh. Since Paul and his then girlfriend, Morgan Dowdy, were also going to the party, the friends agreed they would take Paul's family's boat there. Earlier that day, surveillance cameras captured Paul Murdaugh purchasing alcohol at a local convenience store named Parker's. In this video, you can see Paul using the ID of his older brother, Buster. After a successful transaction, Paul is seen celebrating while he loads alcohol in the truck. Investigators believe that around 6:30 p.m., the group of friends had assembled at the Murdaugh family's river house. They say the group left by boat at around 7 p.m. In her interview with investigators, Molly Altman says they arrived at the house party, where they spent several hours. At around midnight, she says they left the party with the group, and when they got back to the boat, Molly says Paul insisted on driving to a bar in downtown Beaufort. GPS records pulled from the boat's device show the group tied the boat up at the dock around 12:45 a.m. Investigators say Paul and Connor went to a waterfront bar and ordered 2 rounds of shots.
We left and stopped fucking downtown Beaufort, and me and him about fought on the fucking dock because I told him not to go up there to that fucking bar that we needed to be going home.
Downtown? How are y'all drinking down there and none of y'all?
Hell, I wasn't. I stayed on the damn boat.
But he was drinking actually at the bar?
I reckon. I didn't go up there.
So y'all came from downtown through the creek, and that's when...
Connor later testified he used a fake ID to get in and said Paul used his brother Buster's ID again. Surveillance video captured the 2 seated at the bar while the rest of the group remained outside, waiting for them to return. Just after 1 a.m., Paul and Connor rejoined their friends and headed back to where the boat was docked. As the group make their way back to the boat, Anthony and Mallory share a tender moment that is captured by surveillance cameras from the dock. It's one of the last images of Mallory alive. According to Miley, some of the group started arguing with Paul after. She says he started driving in circles and acting drunk. Investigators would later note the onboard Garmin GPS showed the speed of the boat increased. Everybody in the party was trying to take Paul into letting Mallory's boyfriend, Anthony, drive the boat, but Paul continued to refuse.
I begged and begged and begged and begged to let me drive.
Hold on 1 second.
Uh-huh. And where were y'all coming from?
Paul.
Moments later, at around 2:30 a.m., the boat hit a piling on Archers Creek Bridge just outside of Paris Island, South Carolina. Paul, Mallory, and Anthony were flung into the dark water. All of the occupants were injured. Blood was all over the boat. That would be the last time anyone saw Mallory Beach alive.
What bridge is it? Paul, what bridge is this? Paul, what bridge?
911, where's your emergency? Hello? Police, fire, EMS. Hello?
We're in a boat crash on Archer Street.
Whereabouts on Archer Street?
In Archer Street, the only bridge on Archer Street.
Archer Street?
Archer's Creek.
Archer's Creek. Archer's Creek. Is it? Okay.
It took EMS, who were dispatched from just a few miles away, nearly 40 minutes to get to the scene because first responders were sent to the wrong bridge multiple times.
Okay, so you're at the dock? Hello, are you at the dock?
No, we just crashed in a boat.
Okay, are you in the water or are you?
We're in the boat.
Okay.
We have someone missing.
Okay.
Beaufort County Deputy Sheriff Stephen Domino was one of the first responders to arrive. His dash cam video captures the scene.
You're my concern, okay? I'm fine. No, you're not. Listen, Keith. I'm here for you. All right? Me and you, we're chilling. I understand you're upset. I ain't about to sit here and tell you to calm down, okay? But I'm gonna get you a cigarette.
Several witness statements document Paul's aggressive behavior towards EMS in the ambulance to Beaufort Memorial Hospital. A deputy with the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office was assigned to ride in the ambulance with Paul. who received minor injuries, and they had to strap him down, according to witness statements.
You think that you're like a bigger man than I am and all this kind of stuff, and was just like, I need to like get out right now. And then
Paul was having this conversation with the officer?
The police officer. He was like in his face, like cussing at him, like being very rude.
The passengers were transported to the hospital, except for Mallory's boyfriend Anthony, who wanted to stay behind.
Is there anybody in the water looking for?
Yes, we got MRO, we got DNR, fire department's got their boats in the water. Coast Guard is on the way with the chopper. DNR's en route. Alright?
She's at the bottom of the river, man.
They're gonna have a dive team. We got a dive team, we got a bunch of resources. Okay? Regardless.
Connor was treated for a broken jaw and Morgan's hand was badly injured. According to hospital staff, Paul was uncooperative while the staff drew his blood. Several hours after the crash, his blood alcohol content was 0.24, 3 times over the legal limit. Paul's nurse described him as one of the most arrogant teenagers to come through the emergency room. She said he was the most intoxicated and most belligerent of those involved. A security guard was assigned to watch Paul at the hospital because his behavior was so out of control. Paul's father, Alex Murdaugh, and grandfather, former solicitor Randolph Murdaugh III, appeared at the hospital 10 minutes after Paul Murdaugh.
You said Paul took your phone to call his granddad.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he call his granddad? Did he say why? Why did he call his dad, or was there?
Well, because like they're lawyers and stuff, and he wanted him to be there first. He just called his granddad because that's what he does in everything.
And his dad a lawyer?
I think that at that point he wanted to call his dad, but he called his granddad first. That's the first thing he did, Patrick. But the next time I saw him he was like, give me your phone, like I need to call my granddad.
Can I use your phone? Can I use your phone?
Hey, bro, I ain't got my phone on me, bro.
You ain't got your phone on you?
No, you dropped yours in the grass right back there.
That don't fly.
Okay. Hey, what's your last name, buddy?
Murdaugh.
M-U?
R-D-A-U-G-H.
Okay, what's your first name?
Paul.
Paul, P-A-U-L?
Why would Paul want to call his grandfather? And what is the history of this family? For nearly 100 years, a member of the Murdaugh family held the title of 14th Circuit Solicitor, covering 5 South Carolina counties.
The function of a solicitor in South Carolina is the same as the function of a people's attorney or a prosecuting attorney or a district attorney in other states, and that is to prosecute criminal cases.
As soon as the position of solicitor became an elected one in 1920, Hampton attorney Randolph Murdaugh Sr. was chosen for the job. He was killed in a train wreck in 1940 and was succeeded by his son Randolph Buster Murdaugh, who held the position until his retirement in 1986. Buster's son, Randolph Murdaugh III, was then elected and served until 2005. However, the influence of the family extended beyond the role of solicitor.
His influence was not limited to this circuit. As solicitors in South Carolina are political animals, they necessarily have political bonds.
The family's powerful law firm, known as PMPED, has been in operation over 100 years.
Is it something that they're going to have to find ways to quietly overcome? You bet. This is not fun for anybody. This is a kind of story that really has no good ending.
Hospital staff also told investigators that they observed Paul's father, Alex Murdaugh, going from room to room, attempting to speak with other survivors. A security guard also reported that he overheard him on the phone saying, "She's gone, don't worry." Mallory had only been missing for a few hours at this point. One of the nurses thought that Alex Murdaugh seemed cold and detached in regards to the victims injured. She said she saw him monitoring the emergency room screen, presumably trying to track down boat crash victims. She told authorities it seemed as though Alex Murdaugh was trying to orchestrate everyone and getting them on the same page. Specifically, Alex Murdaugh was seen multiple times trying to get into Paul's girlfriend's room. Paul's girlfriend did not let Alex in her room. Paul's friend told the authorities that they were afraid of the Murdaughs and assumed that they were working on a cover-up. Anthony Cook made several comments about the Murdaughs being able to get away with things in the past, and that's why he and his cousin did not think anything will happen if Connor talks to law enforcement.
Y'all know Alex Murdaugh?
Oh yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That show driving the boat?
Good luck.
Investigators and volunteers using rescue boats, divers, and helicopters spent 8 days searching for Mallory Beach. On March 3rd, 2019, 2 volunteers found Mallory's body about 5 miles down the river from the crash scene.
911, where's your emergency?
This is Kenny Campbell. We're on the search team rescue. We think we found her.
A month after the boat crash, Mallory's family filed a wrongful death suit against members of the Murdaugh family, allowing them to depose the survivors, as well as Parker's convenience store, for illegally selling alcohol to an underage Paul Murdaugh hours before the February 2019 boat crash.
Civil conspiracy and outrage are the official claims by Mallory Beach's family. In all, 8 people and businesses are named in the complaint, which details an intent and ulterior motive to harm the family and affect the civil lawsuit the Beaches have filed against Parker's. The Beaches say that Parker's and their attorneys tried to launch a social media campaign to invade the family's privacy and misappropriate their images to inflict severe emotional distress and diminish their resolve to prosecute Parker's for causing Mallory's death. In addition, that family says confidential video from the civil case was sold or given to documentarian Vicky Ward. Some of that video, as well as pictures of Mallory after her death, were used in a since-deleted trailer for that documentary. And the Beach family says Ward even said that Greg Parker and his law firm, quote, had an agenda, and she had nothing to do with them other than having their stuff.
On April 18th, 2019, on what would have been Mallory's 20th birthday, Paul Murdaugh was indicted and charged with 3 felony counts of boating under the influence, including causing the death of Mallory Beach and seriously injuring 2 other passengers.
He is presumed innocent. He's pleading not guilty, and as a result, he should be afforded a release on his own recognizance because there is no showing of any of the criteria which would affect that.
We would have some concern as to danger to the community, given that this case involves the use of alcohol. Standard condition with bond is that we not have any crimes committed on bond, so I would assume that would include the underage use of alcohol.
Paul pleaded not guilty to all the charges and was out on bond awaiting trial. According to reports, an officer of the court came forward with handcuffs to formally arrest him, fingerprint him, and they were waved away. So he never was handcuffed. Also, in his booking photograph, Paul Murdaugh is seen wearing his street clothes. 2 years after charges were filed, there was still no trial date set, when on June 7th, 2021, Alex Murdaugh called the police.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
This is Alex Murdaugh at 4147 Moselle Road. I need the police to ambulance immediately. My wife and child just shot badly.
After Paul's death, the charges against him were dropped. Mallory Beach's aunt, Lynn Rivas, said Mallory's family believed that Paul Murdaugh was driving the boat at the time of the accident. However,
now, the Beach family attorney says he is weighing their options, adding, quote, "At this point, I plan on asking the judge to reconsider his ruling in hopes that the family won't be put through 2 full trials."
So, in a complete 180 move, a judge has reversed the decision to separate the defendants in the wrongful death lawsuit from Mallory Beach.
In a statement, Beach family attorney Mark Tinsley wrote, "The Beach family is very pleased and relieved with the court's decision today. We are looking forward."
Passenger Connor Cook also filed a lawsuit against Alex Murdaugh. He claims that Murdaugh had tried to frame him as the driver of the boat.
Quote,
cover something up. He said they didn't try to cover things up, but from your lawsuit here, there are a lot of accusations. You mentioned that whisper campaign in Hampton County that it does appear, at least according to this web.
Mallory Beach was just 19 years old. Her funeral was today. Those who knew her described her as a sweet, kind, and caring young woman, a lover of animals, family, and God.
Those close to Mallory said she loved animals, especially dogs. So a nonprofit charity created to honor her memory, Miles Pals, is raising money to build a brand new animal shelter in Hampton County, South Carolina.
Hampton County 911, where's your emergency?
Hello, I just going down the Crocketville Road. I see somebody laying out. Somebody going to hit him. It's dark. Somebody going to hit him.
All right, we'll get an officer headed out that way.
Okay.
All right, sir.
Then we kind of went back and forth, and there were different rumors and about it, him possibly getting hit by a car and this and that. He didn't get hit by no car.
The rumors that's going around Hampton that everybody keeps coming up to me and saying it was Murdaugh boys.
The Murdaugh boys?
Yes, whoever they are.
Okay.